Hello, race fans, and welcome to Tabletop Sports Network, your home for miniature sports. The Diecast racing community is growing by leaps and bounds, and tiny drivers are popping up everywhere. But the drivers aren't just the ones behind the wheels of these tiny hot rods. The drivers are the content creators, custom track parts creators, racing promoters, and anyone pushing this sport to greater heights. We wanted to sit down and have a conversation with the people that make this sport what it is today. Here's our conversation with Jim Desaulniers of Indiana Diecast Racing. We hope you enjoy. Okay, race fans, this is Dave Davis here with What Game Now, Tabletop Sports Network, and the Tiny Hot Rod Association for another episode of Meet the Drivers. This week we have Jim Desaulniers here with us from Indiana Diecast Racing. Is that right? Is that how you say it?
Yep, that's right, Dave.
Yeah, man. So many tracks out there. I can't remember anything. I did go and watch. I have seen some of your stuff. I just didn't realize what it was because I recognized the track when I had seen it, and I was like, "Whoa, okay, yeah, that guy." There are so many of them out there, but I want to go ahead and start just like we've been starting. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself before we get started?
Sure. So my diecast racing story is almost a cliche at this point, in that, of course, it started when COVID hit, and I don't remember what I was watching on YouTube, but I saw a recommendation for one of 3D's races. I clicked on it, and I was like, what is this? Like, holy cow. So I watched that, and it was kind of funny because I'm wearing my Cub Scout sweatshirt because I'm big into Scouts. And right at the same time that I watched that video, we were trying to figure out, like, how are we going to put on events for our Cub Scout pack over the coming months, knowing that we can't get together. And after watching one of the 3D bot maker videos, I was like, I could do that in my basement and do like a Facebook Live race and have everybody just drop off their cars. I'll sanitize them and race them and then send them back to everybody. So that's kind of what got the channel all kicked off.
Well, that's an interesting start. It's kind of a unique. I mean, you hear a lot of people talk about COVID being one of the reasons why they came across diecast racing, because we all get so bored being cooped up. We just start looking for things, and we're like, and we see it. And then obviously there are a lot of people who, I mean, as I said, hashtag blame 3D for their issues, or problems or addictions or afflictions or whatever you want to call it. So, but that's an interesting one as far as an origin for a track was to find a way to hold scout events.
And I think the fact that Augmoto had either just come out, or at least I had just become aware of it, and then like the Crash Racers sets came out after that. Because if it had just been, because my son and I for the last couple of years have done like an annual drag race kind of thing, and probably in like February we did the one we did for this year. And we set up the drag track, but I was like, I don't want just a boring straight old drag track. Let's try and like make it go over stuff and around stuff. And I was like, I want some chaos. So the fact that the fat track was hitting the scene right at the time that I was getting started was probably just it was a happy coincidence.
Yeah. And I'd ask this question, like in the 3D group of, directly to 3D, which never got responded to. So if you're watching, I'm still waiting for an answer. But the crazy thing is that the Crash Racer set, from Way Out Toys is who makes it. Most people don't even know that. They're just like, oh, it's a Crash Racer set. But and then you have the Adventure Force Crash Racer set, which is the Walmart version of it. It's the same track. It's just NASCAR branded. And a lot of people don't realize that either. Like the Adventure Force, if you look on the back of it, it's like trademark for Walmart. So it's like a Walmart specific trademark. But I don't think, I listened to a podcast with the Way Out Toys guys, right? and I was curious, right? Because, you know, what are they coming up with, or how did that happen? Because how many of these track sets have we seen, you know?
Yeah.
And like I haven't seen them in a long time, maybe because I haven't been looking at them and seeing it, but I haven't seen anything like it. I mean, we all see the orange track and all that stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But I haven't seen anything like it in a long time. So I wondered, you know, what was going on. That's when I found out who they were and what they were doing. They basically just had one of them used to work for Mattel and so on and so forth. So they kind of got some old, you know, ideas and whatnot. So anyway, and they put these things out. But I actually messaged them on Facebook to let them know. I mean, do you realize, like, I know your Crash Racer sets and stuff have been pretty popular, but do you realize
they have to?
Do you realize why? Like, you know, you think it's just a bunch of kids running around, or a bunch of really big kids, older kids, you know,
yeah,
you know, doing this, and they're like, man, that's great, it's amazing. Because the reason I messaged them was to find out if they had individual parts. So I was looking for, y'all sell replacement parts or like just straights or whatever. And they're like, no, not at the moment. So that was kind of
I'm guessing they are much like us. They are small time on the toy market right now.
Yeah. They have a lot of business experience, a lot of toy industry experience between the people that run it. So they're not like new to it, but yeah, the product itself, the product line and the company itself is new. So they're putting all that out, but that's the big thing, like not enough straights, right? We all need more straights.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I've got a pile of probably 40 turn pieces in the corner over there. Yeah.
And I keep looking at this thing going, where can I add another turn? But I really just can't in my footprint. Throw another
actually, because I had so many extra turn pieces, I considered doing one of those corkscrews like the Birdco track.
Kind of like that one's like a single one that goes down like that. Right there.
Yeah. But I was like, you know, that kind of strays away from my model a little bit. I want chaos, but I don't want total chaos.
Well, the corkscrew gives it's a pickup in speed, right? Now I've seen someone, I don't remember who it was, they got one that goes up, which is crazy. Which is crazy. I haven't someone pointed that out. Like, it goes in and then it actually goes up and then back down, like it goes up to corkscrew.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
But you know, so the track that you're currently using, that I've seen in some of your videos. Oh, you know what? Before we get into the actual track, I want to talk about, because if I'm not mistaken, you're doing the party wagon thing, right? The party wagon race?
Yeah. So I brought them all down and set them up on the track, but they're literally like right behind where my head needs to go. But so I put this one right over here there on the straightaway, and I don't know if you can see, but I had to put all kinds of other stuff to hold it there, because this thing just wants to fly down the track. But I'm still doing the party wagon thing. December 1st is the cutoff for mail-ins. I got a message from Fractal Panda yesterday. He's sending one from Scotland, and I know you can't see it because it's behind my head, but we've got like 7 or 8 up there right now, and I'm expecting at least that many more to come in the mail. So it should be pretty cool.
I am currently working on trying to get that and the Rockin' Sled done for golfers. So, and believe it or not, my wife actually, I told her the idea, and since it involves glitter for the rocket sled, she is all over it. So
it's funny.
So we might both send one in, but I'm definitely, because when I got the party wagon, I think you actually said, send that into my race. And it's like, I didn't think about it, but okay, we can do that.
Yeah, I am doing every little thing I can like that to try and advertise, because with 182 subscribers, it doesn't quite go viral yet.
No, not yet. But fortunately enough, we do have a 10,000 plus group that we all belong to in 3D, and that helps a lot. And I'm very glad that groups like that. I know there was some problems in the beginning, but I think it's kind of just like, whatever. Just let them, like, with the Tiny Hot Rod Association, I think we got 88 and right now, and I don't mind it, whatever you post in there, as long as it's not anything crazy and you don't just post it over and over again, so don't spam it through.
Yeah, that's why I figured there were enough groups right now, at least when I started my channel, that all I did was create a page so that I could just send stuff out, and if people wanted to listen, that's cool. And then luckily I've got some good diecast friends like Josh who let me post to his page all the time, because I think he and I are really eye to eye on like the community aspect, and like we are all small time enough that we should be sharing our stuff back and forth to
no doubt. I don't
spread the word.
I don't think no matter how big you get, I don't think that should be an issue. I think that if your content is something that people want to watch, it doesn't matter how many other people you introduce to them. I think it makes you want to have to do better, and continue the quality. Because one of the things that you'll see is that as things go along with certain, I've seen it before with certain channels, they just start mailing it in, or phoning it in, as you want to say.
Yeah.
And the next thing
you need to quit.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that competition, makes for a better product overall. So,
and I've noticed that in my own videos. I've gone back and looked, because as a follow-up to the Facebook Live thing I did for the Cub Scouts, we also did a head-to-head tournament on my personal YouTube channel before I created IDR, and all I shot that with was my cell phone camera, just video standing from the start point, and I'm like, wow, those were some rough videos. but that was the starting point.
Well, and that's the thing. That's another thing. You'll see that. I mean, technology is where it is right now. If you do things correctly, if you cell phone cameras being what they are now, if you have a decent cell phone, I mean, you can do so much with them that, so that's all some people use.
Yeah. All the stills I take, and usually one of the, I think that camera stand that's up there in that corner right now, that's for my my cell phone right now, but I use that as an auxiliary camera and shoot. Even the primary cameras I'm using are nothing special. They were like $40 Amazon specials that just happened to do 90 frames per second.
Well, I happened to buy one GoPro 7 Black, because they're so easy to put places. And it was Walmart started moving that stuff out. Like most of the Walmarts here don't even carry GoPro stuff anymore. So they started clearancing it out. So I ended up picking up one of them for like $100 less than normal.
Nice.
And then I have a friend of mine who was like, dude, I just came into some money. I know you're doing this channel thing. And I explained to him why I wanted multiple cameras. And he was like, sounds like a good idea to me. So he's like, let's go. And I'm like, we're going. Let's just get in the car where we're going to go get these cameras. So he went and was got us a couple more. So we have 3 now.
Cool.
But even with those cameras, when it came to our scale quarter mile drags that we did on our YouTube channel, the pictures that I took for the cars, the driver's slides and stuff like that were all done with my camera, because as good as they are as action and video cameras, they are terrible picture cameras up close.
Oh yeah.
So, but anyway, so we talked about that, and I was just about to ask you about something else when I asked you about the party wagons.
The track?
Yes. Okay. So the current track that you have, and the one, tell me a little bit about how that came about. Like some of the, you were talking about a little bit earlier, but some of the ideas of what you wanted to do with it, and all that.
Sure. So it's definitely been like I'm sure with everybody, an evolution. of multiple tracks.
Right.
So this is really the second official track my channel has had. When I did the Facebook Live tournament, that was literally basically like, toss all the track pieces on the floor. What can I make out of this? And it was like 2 switchbacks. And using the Augmoto, and then by running that event, that's how I learned, like, I probably don't want like an 85-degree angle on my first drop, and the cars are going to fly around the Augmoto turn, but if they don't have enough speed, they're not going to make it around the first turn.
Right.
And after watching 3D's videos, and I think just reading stuff posted in the group, that's how I learned about Coroplast. And because there's not enough straight pieces in any of those track sets, that I used that for the final straightaway. Once that was done, like during throughout the successive rounds of the head-to-head tournament I did, then I started, I think that's when I got the Crash Racer sets and incorporated those.
Right.
And then I was like, I want something more than just a couple switchbacks, because I'm going light on the diorama and heavy on the racing. So that's when I incorporated the first, like the tricky triangle part of my old track. And then that kind of carried me all the way through the IDR Open and the first mail-in tournament that I did, and that was basically just a really simple charity race. So then once that all got wrapped up, I knew I wanted to rebuild the track because of some of those issues I mentioned, where like, stuff was moving around and I had to make a million adjustments. And throughout that whole process, I had learned about, like what makes for a good camera angle, where do I need to have light and all that stuff. So it's like, holy crap, I've like learned how to be somewhat of a videographer.
Right.
So with all of that in mind, that's how I started building this track. And I knew I wanted it to be much more permanent than the initial one. But I think the big kicker was I did not want to have a bunch of switchbacks, because that, nothing against any of the guys that have tracks that are all switchbacks, that's fine. And I know it works well for what they're trying to do, but this is how I wanted to be different, was to have a crazy huge track with all kinds of twists and turns, and I still kept the tricky triangle element of it.
The triangles I thought was really interesting, because I've put up pictures of a few different designs, right, of things that I was thinking about doing when I first started. And the one thing that people, I'm not sure why, but one thing that people really like are like 90-degree crash racer turns. You know what I mean? Like, they like that. So incorporating those sharper turns into the triangle, I thought was a good idea. I don't think I've seen that anywhere else.
It is only, and it's only in my most recent videos. But probably my favorite element of this track is that the finish line is almost directly underneath the start line, so I don't have to move the whole time. On the original track, I was having to, or at least at the time, my son was helping me record a lot of the races. So he would start it, but I would be right there at the start gate. And then I would have to run around the edge of the track without tripping over it to get in better position so that I could actually see them at the finish line. And now it's almost too good of a vantage point to where it's making all of my auxiliary camera angles look like total garbage. It's like, I don't even want to use them anymore. So
that is a big part. Makes any of the tracks that you like to watch yourself, I'm sure, is how well they capture the action is one.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Editing also is important, but not as much as how it's captured, because I could watch a one camera, as long as I could watch a one camera overhead view of something like my track right here. If I did it right, I probably could capture every bit of action in this, because it really is like where my hands are. Like, that's the starts up here, and that's the first corner over here, and then there's the last corner right there, and the finish is right behind me. So I literally could probably get a good angle with a GoPro if I could find a way to suspend it right where I could get like the whole track. And I think that's appealing to some people because they just like, you don't want to have to run around to film it. They don't want to have to either A, try to follow it too far, or B, get a seizure because it's cut every second.
Yeah.
So
the tracks that I really enjoy are the ones that basically use like the camera stick and almost have like a helicopter camera following it. So like the probably one of the I don't know if he's lesser known, but Rocky Mountain Diecast. I love that channel.
Yes.
And his track's not super elaborate, and nor is his diorama, but he does a good job running the races, and his commentary is just like I mean, like any Canadian doing commentary, you gotta love it.
Well, it's like what is the other Beaver Works?
Oh yeah.
They have multiple he has multiple tracks within his
that's pretty cool
complex. The drop that he does, which that's the one of the things about the whole thing of running a track or a race or the whole community itself is that there's so many different interesting things. You have a lot of people doing some very similar things. You have like like Josh and Rust Belt and some other people doing live racing. I mean, I think they're the ones that do the most of it at Rust Belt, the live racing. And then difference between drag tracks and road tracks and what dioramas and stuff. I don't think I think I mentioned it with Josh too, being the lamb chop, the Lamarosa rails track. And that commentary is so unique. It feels like you're at a drag track. So it's really hard, I think, in some ways to find unique ideas. I think it's still early enough that there are a number of them out there still to go, like still to find. But finding the right way to film them is what makes them great. Like I want to do, I say we, because I really literally want to have someone else with me to do drags, because I like to have someone start. Like when we did our first and only first and only race video, it was me and a buddy, but we had the camera set up to where we just let them roll and we just recorded, and then I edited later. But just having that one person to like we had 4 lanes, so just to go up, he puts 2 cars in, I put 2 cars in, I step back, he hits the button, so on and so forth. It was just I'm already down there to pick them up, and we plan on doing a half-mile scale next, which is 42 feet of track. And I ran it by myself one weekend because it's basically, I put it together each time I want to use it.
Oh yeah. Wow.
And well, because I don't have room in my house for 42 feet of track.
Yeah.
And I don't want to leave it outside for someone else to take home as their 42. So I think the effort of putting it together each time I want to use it is fine. But, I ran like a King of the Hill style matches by myself just for fun. And it was like 20 some odd races, and that's 84 feet every time you're running down a track. And we're talking about best 2 out of, or first to 2, King of the Hill style. So how much, I don't even know. I think I did the math at one point, but I mean, how many miles I walked that day, just back and forth along this track. So
my limiting factor with the number of races I can do at once is how confused I get with all the video footage that I have recorded, because I like to start and stop the camera in between each lap. So after I do a 4-lap race, I've got 4 videos on my main camera, 4 on each of the 2 secondary ones. But then if I try and do another race on top of that, and I'm transferring files and all that stuff, and then I'm like, then I got to go watch each file to figure out which one goes with which race, and I just get all mixed up. So
well, if
down
you
to
have,
one.
I was telling Josh before, it might be interesting to look at if you don't already use it, but I use DaVinci Resolve.
Yeah, that's what I use.
Okay, so do you know about the audio sync on that? So basically, if you
Yeah.
have audio on
Yep.
all your auxiliary devices, you just put them. You can make a multicam track, multicam timeline out of all those things by the audio. So you don't have to go and find where and what video and so on and so forth on what camera. It puts it all together for you.
I might get there one of these days. It's probably not in the near future.
There's a real easy tutorial online. It really is simple. It's like you put you take all the files basically in a folder, you select them all, and you basically say make a multicam timeline and change a couple of things and hit a button, and it does it for you. And as long as all your cameras are one file, it will literally just stack them on top of each other, and it makes it so much easier to do. Just a little tip. I'll probably say it 100 times more during these interviews. It is well worth the time to learn how to do it, and the time that it will save you having to go crazy. I edit like once a month. I'd like to do it more often, but I edit like once a month for the What Game Now channel, like a 2.5 to 3 hour tabletop miniatures game.
Yeah.
Video, and it saved me so much time. So I know about time and editing and videos, and I'm telling you that is well worth learning how to do. But
cool. And that was definitely one of the biggest leaps, because when I was doing that Cub Scout head-to-head tournament, I was just using the basic stuff that came with Windows to edit and produce those. And then a friend of mine who I know through Scouts, Tim Sherrill, he's big into like photography and all that kind of stuff. So he was like, "Hey, why don't you try out this software?" And at first, when I looked at it, I was like, "Oh my God, this is way too complicated." So I did exactly what you mentioned. I watched some YouTube videos, got started on like the most basic thing, and then like each video from there, like I tried to add another piece of flair, to the point where I now have to not do so many fancy things, because then it blows up my computer.
There's so much you can do with those types of programs, whether it's DaVinci or Premiere or whatever. And the reason I suggest DaVinci is because it's so full featured for a free program.
Yeah.
But really, all you need is the, cut and all that stuff. But just the cutting. But it has so many different little options. And I like to talk about some of the challenges that different people have when it comes to building and editing, and we all have the challenge of uploading. I think the longest time I spend on anything that I do is rendering and uploading. If someone could make that process much faster, and I have really good internet. It just, the servers, it just takes so long, especially when you're trying to render and upload something
I love it when it works out that I basically finish all my editing right before I go to bed. And then first, when I get up in the morning, because I've been working from home since March.
Yeah.
So the first thing I do when I get up in the morning is I'll turn on DaVinci, hit render, and then that's happening on my personal computer, and I just like swivel to the right and then do my work day. And then in an hour and a half or whatever, the video's done.
I love waking up to it being done. So that's good. Like you can just turn it on and go. So speaking of that, can you tell me a little about like the one thing I've going through the last two interviews and this one? Well, I don't want to get off of the party wagon just yet.
Sure.
Okay. So, what have you seen in this particular race, the submissions for this particular race so far? You said you have like 8 or so. Have you seen anything truly unique? I mean, they're all party wagons, but like, is anybody taking the time to do anything, any different unique coloring or?
So let's see. I got to turn around and look to refresh my memory. You know what? Give me 1 second, and I'll just grab them.
Yeah.
Because these are pretty cool. And my plan with the Party Wagon tournament and with all my future tournaments is to, like, when people, I get, because I've modded and repainted a few of my own, that the amount of time that goes into this and money, that, you know, it sucks to send your car somewhere and see it race for 30 seconds and then that's it. And then it gets sent back to you. So for all of my tournaments going forward, including this one, like, there will be a big car show where, like, the only limiting factor will be my photography skills or lack thereof. So I plan on showing them off as best I can. So this was the first one that I got. And this was really cool because I don't know if you can see in the windows. And I apologize to who sent this to me because I can't remember off the top of my head. But this was the first one I got. But you can see he put decals of the Ninja Turtles.
Nice.
All 4 of them. Like, that blew me away. I was like, wow, this is the first one. That's going to be awesome. And I apologize to everybody who sent me these because if I had known we were going to go this granular, I would have written down who sent them to me.
No.
We've got an all black party wagon.
The Batman party wagon.
This one's interesting because he left. I like how he left the roof kind of original and then kind of just painted the sides.
Yeah.
And all of these are varying weights, and it looks like they all, for the most part, a lot of them had different wheels. This one was kind of cool because I don't know if you can tell, but on the back, kind of shaved off the wing a little bit. It made this more like a flat slope. And then I got to show off my pride and joy because my wife went to the store and bought me some of that. It's not like glitter paint, but it's like, if you look at it in different lighting, it's different colors. So this is like a blue purple kind of deal. And I love slapping gold wheels on any casting. So there's a lot of really cool ones so far.
So just go over, if you could just like go over the basic rules of modification for these. You have that?
Sure. Yep. So like Josh, I am not a fan of FTEs or any of those fancy axles. So I said no fancy axles. They basically have to be stock wheels and axles, but you can take them from other cars. Dry lube only. Repainting is it's not mandatory, but it's highly encouraged because who wants to see 4 of the original model? Because you have no idea which one belongs to which one. The weight maximum is only 50 grams, which is only adding like maybe 18 grams to the casting. And I keep that low on purpose because I don't want the weight limit so high that the only people who are going to be competitive are like the expert modders. Like in all my tournaments, I want people to be like me, like very much an amateur at modding. So I don't want folks to be intimidated and think they have no chance. And that's the great thing about one of these tracks is that someone could send in a 100-gram party wagon and put it up against a 50-gram, and that 100-gram is not necessarily going to win on this track. So
and that's the thing about road tracks in general, right? So you can weigh down a car and put it on a drag track, and depending on where you put the weight, I mean, but it's not always a determining factor, but up to a certain point, there is a point of diminishing return when it comes to weight. But in most cases, if you have something that weighs more but not too overweight, going against something that's lighter on a drag track, like if they're the same vehicle,
Absolutely.
It's an advantage. But on a road course, it's not so much about just the weight. It's how how they
Center of
perform in
gravity.
center of gravity.
Yep.
Can they take the corners? Are they too top heavy? So on and so forth.
So my last track wasn't designed this way, but this one is. There is one corner, and it's like the first corner. It's I know you can't see it, but it's down here. It's like the first corner of the main triangle that kind of goes into what I call Diagon Alley. And it is so it's really this hill that's right behind me. That is the steepest part of the track. So a car that hits that turn going too fast is going to wipe out. So fastest doesn't always mean best on this track at all.
Right. And that's the other thing with tracks, like when they get like tracks at the end, and I always use this example, and I know Josh has used this example in the last interview, but like we race Diecast, Dave's channel.
Yeah. Yep.
If you're doing modded cars on the track like that, it is almost more important that it goes straight than how much it weighs or anything else, because once it hits that chloropass, it's like
So my track is actually designed the same way. It just so happened to be designed that way on the last track, but the last bit of straightaway is as wide as I can feasibly get it, chloroplast. And I've seen that just in the little mini tournament I'm doing for my brother, where a car had a huge lead, like was easily the best car on the track, hit that chloroplast and spun, and then the car coming behind it just went whoop and won the race.
Yeah.
I love that kind of chaos.
I do too, but I think it also tests the skill of modders. Whether they, like I said, because there's different levels of that too.
Yeah.
Anybody can throw weight in a car. Most anybody can change, wheels out in a car, axle, whatever. But to really take the time and test it and make sure it's doing what it should do, that takes some skill and patience.
Oh, I almost forgot, and my brother will kill me that I didn't mention his party wagon. He hasn't sent it to me yet, but he painted it with a stormtrooper theme, and I think this is the first vehicle he's ever modded. So of course, rookie mistake, drilled right through the roof. But he took a little Lego Stormtrooper blaster and glued that on there. And I was like, dude, that's amazing. You got to send that to me. So I think he's thinking of redoing it. And I'm telling him right now, don't redo it. Just send it to me.
Just send it. Yeah. Stormtrooper party wagon. I like that idea. Combines two very important parts of my childhood into one vehicle. Totally. Yep. One vehicle.
Yeah.
So that all the rules are break down there, right? Not too many. There's nothing else.
Essentially, I try to keep it pretty basic. The format of the racing should be pretty similar to the previous events I've run, or 4 cars. I think I'm still trying. I'm not going to do qualifying just because I don't have a timer set up, and trying to do a stopwatch is totally inaccurate. So I'm going to figure out some way to get the starting grid. But I like going to where the car that won the last lap, or the finishing order on the previous lap, is how they're starting on the next lap. Some people think that provides a huge advantage, and I'll tell you, on my tracks it really doesn't, but it's a lot easier for me to keep track of than to say, okay, last lap the car was in this position, now it's got to be in this position. But that other way of doing it is something I've been testing with my brother's family tournament. And
the more that you run, the more you learn about your track and
totally
the way to do things, what works best, what doesn't work.
Now I just got to find one more party wagon that I can make a trophy out of.
Yes. Well, man, I know
hard to find.
I came across a couple, so if I can find one and I do get to send one in, maybe I can send an extra one in. And
that'd be awesome. Thank you.
But we'll see with everything that I'm trying to do, I don't know. But
yeah, that's one part of this whole deal that I wish I had more time for.
yeah.
And Josh and I have actually, Josh Poffler. So coincidentally, my brother's name is also Josh. But Poffler and I talk about this stuff all the time, to include bouncing ideas off of him for like future events.
Right.
So that's kind of how I landed on like the 50s Chevys tournament, and I'm also going to do like a death race tournament where all the cars have to have a weapon on the outside and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that same thing because before getting into diecast racing, I had like 100 Hot Wheels, but it was for Gaslands, tabletop miniatures game, where basically the company makes, and people say you've talked about it again, but the company basically makes rules for the game, but they don't make models. So basically everybody just kind of said, oh, okay, well, that's about the size of a Hot Wheel. So modding of the cars takes on a different meaning because it is. I was trying to think if I still had them.
It's totally aesthetic, isn't it?
Yes, because most of the time when you do a Gaslands car, you don't even they don't even roll.
I have been dying to get into that game for months because I'm also a big board gamer.
Right.
But again, just time is continually the limiting factor.
Since you got to stand up and move, I'm going to stand up. Okay. I'm going to go over here. And because I mention it so often, but I've never shown anything. And I would like to, if I can find them real quick, I'd like to give a shout out to a friend.
Just to let you know, this is not awkward at all.
No, not at all. Not at all. Well, you got up, and it's only fair that I can get up.
You know, I don't think I had seen the bottom of your track until now.
Oh yeah, everybody can look at that. That's
cool.
That's basically all of it because it ends right here. Like it ends right here. So
it has a lot of right turns.
It does. Someone mentioned that once, and like not very many passing opportunities, and I was like, you know what?
That's not necessarily true.
No, because I've seen many people pass on right turns. So I don't know what you're talking about.
The first turn on my track, I see way more passes on the outside than I do on the inside.
Well, I left the scene long enough to not find what I was looking for. So I have in this room where what the camera's sitting on is it's like a 46 inch by 56 inch or what. Anyway, slightly over 4 foot by 4 foot table. It's which is kind of bar height. It's a nice table. My wife works at a furniture place, and I got a really good deal on it. And that's what we play our miniatures games on, and we record on. And underneath it, I have these drawers. They're like the plastic drawers you see at Walmart, but they have like 2 thin ones and then 3 big ones. And I have them on 3 sides of this table, and they're all full of stuff for miniatures and whatever. And I'm currently building a flat file kind of shelf to go to this side of the track under here to put my 3D printer on, and then it has like 5 drawers of flat file drawers for Hot Wheels, so I can get them out of the little shoe boxes that I have them in.
Oh,
it brings me to my.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I've been buying those thread holders from Joanne every time I see them.
Yeah. Well, I use these for a lot of things, but I have a shelf down right beside me, and I left the screen again. Sorry to make you uncomfortable. Because I saw the box I was looking for in all these drawers.
Oh, awesome.
But I use these shoe boxes. They're like 88 cents or something at Walmart. They usually come in you can get them in like a 8-pack or something like that. Whoops. I'll retrieve that later. But I have a shelf that's right down here that's made to hold those for like flocking and different pieces and stuff for the hobby stuff, the hobby part of my hobbies. But so I use those, but right now I currently have like I stacked them up, the Hot Wheels up in there, because I just finished one of the nerdiest things that I think anybody's going to admit to, which is I have every one of my loose Hot Wheels is now in a spreadsheet.
It's not that nerdy. I've considered it.
Well, I finally finished, and I was so happy about that. But to show you, so these are some of the modified.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
I think that's like a City Turbo.
Yeah, it looks like it.
And it has like treads, like tracks on the back.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And a gun on the top. And then go for like, this is a more Mad Max kind of thing. Wow. It's got a, like a snow plow on the front, cool. And missiles and tracks again. But anyway, the reason I brought this up, and thank you to my friend Morgan. If you watch the channel, I'm sorry I haven't brought your cars back to you yet, because I need to make a little a little video about Gaslands, and I still haven't done it because I keep finding other things to make videos about. There's like a Morris Mini, same kind of deal. He likes tracks, so. But I thought about making a race like you're talking about, to where you just, without all the side spikes and stuff, because that'll interfere with the track, but just, rough them up, weather them up, and put some weapons on them, and have like a post-apocalyptic race. But I'm glad that you're thinking about it too, because I'll probably never get to it.
So yeah, and it wasn't high on my list to do. It was just an idea until I foolishly posted on Facebook a poll last week, and that was one of like the top 3. I was like, I got to do that one.
Well, if you haven't seen it and you're into modding cars, Gaslands is a very cool game, and even if you don't play the game, it's so much fun to mod. So, and you can mix the two hobbies.
Yeah, I've been all of my wheel donors, I've been saving all the frames and parts and everything else in a little Ziploc bag just for that reason alone.
Yes.
So that I can make some sort of Frankenstein thing in the future.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question, and it's not, it's on the top of a diecast, so it's not completely off topic, but it was just a thought that popped into my head, and I'm just going to ask you. So, have you ever seen wheels on a car that you really want to put on another car, but you can't bring yourself to take off the car that they're currently on?
Wow. So like an extendo car?
Well, like
add a second car onto the front of the first car?
I really no. So basically,
or on top of,
I'm making which I had a really interesting thing happen. I'll talk to you about it in a minute. But so I'm making this like Superman Stephen King tribute car because that's
jeez.
Okay. I am a very big fan of 3D's videos. Like, no doubt. The DRC is my favorite. I even had the Stephen King t-shirt, which I showed in the first episode. But for some reason, I think that the driver thing in his video, anybody else's, like, I think is really cool, especially when you can put a story to it, and kind of build upon it. You know what I mean? And I think
that really made my IDR open was when I went back to that and took drivers' names, like that made it way more human than just look at these cars run.
And when you build on it and build on the storylines and so on and so forth, people invest, I think. It's the same thing that happens in sports of all types.
Yep.
So, as I mentioned to Josh, and I'll keep it short on this one, is that people don't watch sports strictly for the video recording of the sport they're interested in. It's all the extra bells and whistles that bring you back.
Yeah, people don't go to the Indy 500 for the race.
No, it's the atmosphere, it's the pageantry, it's the, all the crazy things. And people don't watch those types of things on television or the internet. Even more so, they don't watch them on television or the internet for the race, completely a race either. It's the graphics, it's the cool things that are flashing everywhere, and all the facts that you're being given, and you're like, oh yeah, and going back in time. So anyway, back to my obsession. So I, for some reason, I like the DRC, the Diecast Rally Championship, and for some reason, Stephen King like stood out as the driver because he's the 3-time champ, right? So until this last one, which I'm still upset about. So I said, you know what? I haven't modded a car yet, so I have this cool idea for one. So I take the Escort Rally, and I showed some pictures of it and some paint on it and so on and so forth. But I really like, in the Lamborghini 5-pack, there's a set of wheels. That's the yellow set of wheels on the second one down in the pack. I can't remember which one it is. It's like a blue car, and it has these like yellow 10 spokes. But I haven't seen them in any other car. But I still haven't been able to bring myself to rip them off of the Lamborghini.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I will only rip wheels off of another car if I bought that car specifically for that purpose. So yeah, if I didn't have a second one of those Lamborghinis, I wouldn't rip them off.
I know, but in order to get a second one of those Lamborghinis, I got to buy a 5-pack again.
Yeah.
And it's only, I basically have to spend $5 on yellow 10 spokes because that's all I want the pack for again.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's just one of those modern things. I was just popping into my head.
So yes, it is definitely painful sometimes.
Yeah.
I really like those the gold rimmed wheels off the Ford GT40s.
Mm-hmm.
That one is painful every time. I don't want to take that car apart.
I have found so many of the ones, the 2020, those light blue ones, that it wouldn't bother me at all. Like I don't buy them all, but I still see them. Like I've been through every dump bin in the area, and I've come across probably 30 of those things.
I used to. I'm like talking about the last 6 months, but so several months ago, I used to really hate the dump bins and prefer the pegs. But now I'm finding that any of the stores that put them on pegs, I can never find anything good. Like I have to go to the dump bins to get what I'm looking for.
Well, here's the thing. People are lazy.
Yeah.
So they will dump things in those bins if it looks like a Hot Wheel. And sometimes not.
Yeah.
They don't have to put it back. They'll just like, oh, look, there's an open spot in there, and we're just going to toss it in. I found the bottom of one of the small ones. Those ones they put on the end of the aisle that has like three columns of cars and like the little bin at the bottom.
Yep.
The little plastic thing that comes up like this.
Yep.
I emptied those too, looking for stuff. And the last one I did, there was it's a bunch of mystery packs in the bottom. I don't know what they were doing there, but this is like funny. I'm sitting there going, wait a minute, you were too lazy to put those back in the box, so you just tossed them in there. And you'll find the oldest I found recently is like I found a couple of cars from 2017 in those dump bins because they just got piled on and piled on. So anyway. So we talked about the Power Wagon, and we talked about your track. I think that was the other thing I was going to go into, which you did. So when it comes to customizing, okay. So if you had to pick, so we talked about there's many aspects to this community and the hobby, right? So what are your favorite parts? Like if you could someone said you could only devote your time to 2 things in this hobby. Like that's all you could ever do. I'll give you an unlimited amount of money to do only the 2 things. Only 2 things out of this hobby. What would those 2 things be?
It would probably be doing top quality videos. Like I really enjoy the running the party aspect of it, and like being the arbiter of the tournament and running all that and getting to see it live. So I like being able to design and somewhat build the track. Now that I've got it built, I've got to decorate it, and the decorating part is what I find really tedious. But I also really like the video editing part of it. I mean, it's really complicated, and my computer can't handle all of the stuff that I want to be able to do with it.
Right.
But I mean, in just a few months, I feel like I've learned so much that if I keep doing it, I feel like I could get a lot better. I'm probably never going to get to the 3D bot maker level just because I don't have the money to invest in it. But with the low level equipment, I think I could get a pretty good product out of it.
Okay, so building and the actual production part.
Yeah, so the racing part of it.
Yeah. Okay.
But any of the like modding and customizing stuff I do, I don't feel like I'm very competitive when it comes to that, so I just do that part of it for me. But that definitely takes a backseat.
Yeah, most definitely. I like that, and I wanted to ask that question because I think that we all would like to have an unlimited day, to do all those things,
Yeah.
or a blank check in order to just kind of. It's like I asked JD the question, like, what would your dream track be if you just had an unlimited amount of money? And he's like, well, I'd have a real car and a real track. But I'm like, that's not what I'm telling you. You can't do that. We're talking about diecast here. And I think a lot of people do it because they like cars in general and racing. And I think a lot of people, if they did have the money and the resources and so on and so forth, they probably would be out racing the real thing.
Unfortunately, I think I would love to get a really huge, really complicated track, or maybe like 2 and 3 tracks that weave in and out of each other. But at a certain point, and I think this is why so many people just do the switchbacks, at a certain point, it gets so hard to video a race on a track like that then the quality of your video goes way down. So I'm trying to find somewhere in between.
Yeah, most definitely. I have another question, and I kind of pulled. Well, I'm not going to tell you where I pull them out of, but I just kind of come up with the questions as we go along. But this kind of brought up something, and I'm not asking to point out favorites of of other promotions, other races and stuff.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to ask was, so if you could, I'll try to phrase this as best as I can. Well, because it's a complicated question, but it's a multi-part question, really. If you could take different parts of different promotions or channels or whatever you want to call them, and put them together to form like I don't want to say perfect, but like a kind of like a dream scenario, right?
Yeah.
And I mean like production setup, diorama, track, and then diorama and track design to me are two different things, right?
Yeah, totally.
Do you think that you could answer that question? So like if you could take pieces and parts from different people that in the community, what do you think you would do?
Yeah. So I think I mean, at the risk of putting 3D on the pedestal that is on. So if you take 3D out of the question for most of it, I still say it's really hard to beat his commentary.
Yes.
But if I were to choose someone else's commentary, it would either be Josh when he does his Tiki Tommy voice, or the guys over at Chaos Canyon, who are probably only just a notch below 3D at this point. Those guys are phenomenal, and I appreciate them too, because I think they've helped get my name out there a couple times, especially with their weekly reports. So, and I saw their note about not put one out this week, so I just wanted to say I hope everything's as okay as things can be with them.
Yeah, I think that they got a lot going on. So I don't know them personally, so I couldn't say anything like that. But they do such a great job. But I think, dude, if you guys need to skip a week for whatever reason, please, by all means, By all means.
Yeah. So I would choose 3D or Chaos Canyon for kind of the voiceover piece of it. For the diorama, I mean, again, if I couldn't choose 3D or Chaos Canyon, because I think Chaos Canyon would be a close second.
Let's just say in each thing that you choose. No, seriously.
Yeah.
You can talk to anybody you want, but once you choose them for one portion, you can't choose them for the next portion.
Yeah.
So you said commentary. Let's just say commentary is 3D. Yeah. Okay. So diorama.
Diorama is, I think, probably the hardest one to choose because there are so many channels out there that have so many super creative people when it comes to the diorama
and I don't necessarily mean like what you might consider the best one. Like,
okay,
what
which one am I partial to?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know Josh mentioned them in his interview, but and I'm blanking on the name of it now. The one that has the shipping containers. I think they're all like the DRC.
Yeah.
So they're good. I like Jackson Pass.
Okay. I'm going to stop you. So you pick.
Okay.
Let's just say DRC is your diorama.
Okay.
You got.
Yeah. Okay.
3D is your commentary. DRC is your diorama. So video production, like the visuals.
I'm trying to think because they're all melding in my mind now.
No, I know. And you're not going to be like held to this, when you pass away, and they're going to be a judge at the end going, "Oh, I can't let you in because you chose the wrong person for video production." So it's just a thing. So question.
I don't know that I could pick for that one, just because I'm imagining the different channels that I like to watch, and I don't think there's not enough differentiation in them from that respect, at least from my own non-expert.
Right. And when I say video production, I mostly mean editing, camera angles, because we know a production is like everything, and that would include commentary.
You know what? Then I think I would say transport for that one.
Okay. I could agree with that.
Yeah. I think he's got several very good camera angles that work great for his track.
Yeah.
So I like those. Which sucks because for like track design, I probably would have picked him too. Though I am pretty partial to myself. I try to go heavy on track design because I know diorama is going to be subpar, at least for a good long while.
And I think those are enough things to go over. I just kind of get an idea of.
So I'm definitely more partial to road courses than drag strips.
But do you know you have a drag strip that you've seen that changes that for you at all? Like you have like drags.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a particular one that you stay with like all the time. Like this is the track, but like, have there been any events that you've seen or anything like that that really changed your mind or got you interested in watching?
Yeah. So I would have to say I'm most partial to Josh's drag races. But I'm forgetting who's doing it. The guy that's doing the Olympics right now.
Oh, wow. Now you got me drawing.
Yeah.
I think everybody knows the Diecast Games is what he's calling it, I think. And sorry, but out of the 100 different tracks right now, I can't remember your name. So I'm sorry. I'll put it in the link in the description. A link of it in the description.
So he's done some really cool drag racing events.
Yes.
That I thought were way more entertaining than just a typical drag race.
Yeah. Did he also do the rally jump one where it was like two separate tracks that came up like this and there was a gap, and then I don't know if that was the same guy. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
I don't think so, but I can't remember.
But the Diecast Games is what the events were called. And that reminds me, like Josh mentioned, the marble runs.
Oh yeah.
That reminds me of that because there's a lot of different events. And
that may be the marble run of the one on the beach. That may have been the video that I was watching that then led me to 3D. So
yeah, my favorite thing about those, and and if someone could do the same kind of thing, like 3D has a lot of people on like stands or standing by the road and stuff like that. But the thing that gets me the most about the marble run guy, the big marble run guy, is like the marbles move in the stands. Have you ever seen that?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, when he goes, they're like holding signs
and,
and moving around like stop motion, and I think that's hilarious. So I showed my wife, and the first thing that she said was "No more hobbies." But because I'll see something like that, and I'll have. This is one that's taken me the longest to like get to a point like this, like having the track that's behind me, because of COVID mostly, but because I wanted to take my time and learn a little bit more about it before I actually started to build anything. I mean, as soon as I saw 3D, I think it was like I don't know, like the first couple of weeks or something after that, I had one Crash Racer set. And then, I put it away. I was like, I'm not ready to do it yet, but I have it. Right. I opened it up and I saw the pieces and I was like, cool. And then I got another one and then the third one. And I almost had a fourth one because the discount store that I get some of my Hot Wheels stuff at had like one that was open. I think all the pieces were there for like $18 and I almost bought it. But I'm just saying it was kind of a build for me, a build up for me.
Yeah.
The cars started coming first, like because they're the easiest to get. Mainline Hot Wheels, 94 cents a dollar or whatever. You pick one up here.
Yep.
I wish I could pick one up here or there. It's always like 4 or 5 or 10 or 15.
Yeah. I actually walked in and out of Target today without buying a single car.
Yes.
That's what I was talking about with the stores that put them on pegs. Like I went through every single car they had up there and I was like, I've either got it or I don't want it.
Yeah, I think I've gotten to the point right now though with like the 2020 stuff is that anything that I really want, I've got, or they haven't put it out yet, or I'm waiting on like a recolor to come.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is just my own perception bias, but it seems like Target always has a bunch of junk fantasy cars that I'm just not interested in.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Well, the only reason I go to Target specifically is I was trying to find their red edition stuff, which my Target never has. So
yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that at mine either.
Yeah, so that was the only reason I really went there. And sometimes they have a few things, but I posted the other day. It was like I went into Walmart and didn't buy a single Hot Wheel. My wife would be so proud of me, but I put a picture of a Micro Machines transport with the hashtag blame 3D.
That's funny.
So when he put that in there, like he did that video on Micro Machines, I was like, I hate you so much right now. Because then I ended up having to go get some. And then seeing if they ran on my track, which means I had to go get more. I bought the transport, ran the one car by itself. This will work. And then I had to have more cars.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't work on mine. The slopes on my straights are just too shallow for them to really get enough speed to get around the turns. But the thought had occurred to me.
Try it anyway.
Yeah.
No, the transport I think is the coolest one that I'd like to get. That's not, if you're not collecting them, because it's like $5 and it's got an actual hinged semi with and I found out when I got the second set of like the little 3-pack of the muscle cars or whatever, that they all had those slots on the side that sit on top of that transport. So you can put anyone that you want on there. I think if you were going to make one purchase of Micro Machines for the least expensive thing that's cool enough to keep around, it would be the transport. And then you have one car to test on your track.
My brother and I actually had the aircraft carrier when we were growing up.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, it wasn't big, but
I remember
that.
I remember. That's the thing. I play cars and so on and so forth for a long time. But is there anything else? We've been talking for a little while. I just wanted to, things just kind of pop into my head as we talk, and that's what I go over. But I wanted to know, is there anything else that you wanted to specifically talk about, mention, promote, or anything before we are done?
Sure. So I mentioned a couple of the events that I'm planning on doing next year. All of my events I'm going to be posting on the Redline Derby calendar, just because, for my own purposes, that helps me keep everything straight. But I also feel like it's a great way to just, especially for us, for smaller channels like mine, it's a great way to get your name out there. Because like for my first event, like Kit Kayam and his wife sent in cars, and I was not expecting that at all. So it's a great way to start from nothing and get somewhere very quickly. So I'll be posting those. I am planning on starting another IDR Open, where basically I'm going to crack open my own collection to run like I just did this year. That'll start in February. I think the 50s car race is going to start in March, and then sometime this summer, and Josh and I are still ironing out the details, but he and I are planning on doing a multi-track collaboration kind of event where it'll be a mail-in event where folks will first do a drag race at Rust Belt, and then we'll come over here to do a road course, and somehow people will earn points and win stuff. So
I think that is awesome. If I can break in there, because that's for those who do modded races and send in cars for modded races. It's going to be a challenge because they're going to have to build a car that is made for both.
Yeah, totally.
Both types, and I think that's a great idea because you can't just build it strictly for drag, and say, okay, this is a fast car. It's it's weighted right. Yep. It's just going to go down that sky drop like that, and then you still have to consider what it performs like in the corners. So that's awesome.
And then I think I mentioned the death race tournament.
Yep.
I forget when I'm doing that, but it's the latter half of the year, I think August. And then October, I'm trying to do a Harry Potter House Cup, where the cars that get sent in are one of the 4 house colors. And it's not a fully developed idea yet, but
I just had a great idea, and I'll tell you afterwards. Okay. I want it to be a surprise, but go ahead.
The theme of my track will eventually be Harry Potter. Like if you've seen any of the old track, like we've got those like 3D puzzle kind of things.
Yeah, so I saw those.
That's kind of the start of the diorama.
Okay.
Though for the Party Wagon tournament, I'm gonna go get like some Ninja Turtles birthday decorations.
Yeah.
So it won't be the plain blue walls back here.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
I think that's it.
And I want to, like I do, anybody that I talk to, have a conversation with, thank you for putting the time and effort to entertain us, because trust me, I get a lot of entertainment out of all these races, man. Like, and I know some people take the time, they'll plan a day, like a Saturday or whatever, when they're kind of hanging around, and they'll just watch a bunch of things in a row.
Oh yeah.
Like, or they'll go in and find a series and just like watch them all, because it makes it more like an actual show or whatever that you'd see on TV. So, so thank you for that. I'm sure a lot of people do thank you. I hope that that we can help. We're not a big channel. What Game Now is not a big channel where we have our videos. I think we've grown a lot since starting to do these Meet the Driver episodes. So I think we're getting up there. I
appreciate it. Thanks for doing that.
We're getting up there a little bit fat. It's a little bit fat. We're getting a lot more watch time. That's great. But we're building our subscribers shortly. But I still think like 80+% of our view time comes from non-subscribers, which I still can't figure why that happens. But it's a good thing. More people are seeing it. And if we can pick up a couple of those people. So hang in there with that. Hopefully it grows. After talking to you, I've seen your videos and stuff like that, but you're seemed like a really, really cool guy. So
Thanks. I appreciate
it. You know, I think that we have a big part of our group, our community, that are dads that, you know, started doing things like this with their kids, and then they revert back to their childlike selves again, and then it just grows from there. So I think that's a really cool thing, that is something that dads and sons can share, especially the younger kids, even the older ones. So we'll go ahead and we'll make sure and put everything in the description so everybody check the description for any links to your channel. If you want to afterwards send it to me, I will make sure to include anything that you want in there.
Will do.
But thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me and talk about your track and just diecast racing in general. And we'll talk to you later. Maybe we can do it again sometime if you have some new stuff coming up later.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, Dave.
All right. Thank you so much.
Good to meet you. Yep. Good talking to you.
You have a great night.
All right. Bye.
Bye. If you're looking to make your race team, promotion, company, or group stand out, check out No Name Nerd. Put your logo and designs on t-shirts, hats, coffee mugs, and more. Their unique designs will help set you apart from the others. What Game Now and Tabletop Sports Network are affiliates for No Name Nerd, and if you use our coupon code WhatGameNow at checkout, you'll get 10% off your order. We thank you for watching Tabletop Sports Network, your home for miniature sports. This was another great episode, and we hope to bring you many more. If you know anyone we should interview or want to sit down with us yourself, just let us know in the comments or message us at the link in the description. Until next time, check out more of the videos here at What Game Now, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share.